Hey everyone, welcome to episode 19 of Miller's Military Moments. And today is part 2 with Grant Belvin. He has agreed to come back and to continue to share his story with you all. And there was so much really good feedback from last week's story that I'm glad he agreed to come back. And so part 2 of 4. So you can expect not only this episode, but you're going to get 2 more episodes with him where he gets to take you through some of his adventures of being a Marine and a scout sniper and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about today's show as well. But before we get into that, I want to just remind you, you can find me at millersmilitarymoments.com, and you can find the links to the YouTube channel, my podcast episodes, and other great information like the author of our music that plays during the intro, Steve McCormick, and some other things going on with our show. And one of the new things I want to do, I want to give a shout out today to a veteran-owned business. This is an unpaid advertisement, everybody. They are not paying me to advertise them. So a veteran-owned business, Bloom and Bryson Construction, in the Chicagoland area. I know we have several listeners up there in the Chicago area. So they do home renovations, patios, decks, and they do phenomenal work. Now, my connection to these guys, Corey Bloom is one of the founders and owners, and I served with him several years in the Army. And so I trust him, I believe in him, and I know they do excellent work. And I just want y'all to know that he's out there and his company does great things. And, you know, this is a way to support small businesses that don't have that huge marketing budget to advertise their stuff. So if you need any of that stuff done in the Chicagoland area, you can find them on Facebook. That's the best way to get a hold of them right now at Bloom and Bryson Construction. And I'm going to have links to their Facebook page on the in the description for the YouTube channel and in the show notes. It'll also go out in my bi-weekly newsletter, which goes out next week. So if you're interested in that newsletter, you can just subscribe to it with your email address at my website, millersmilitarymoments.com. So there you go. Shout out to Bloom and Bryson Construction, veteran-owned construction company that does fantastic work. You can see their pictures all on their Facebook page. So definitely give them a chance. You will not be disappointed. I believe in them and be a great opportunity. So, all right. Back to episode 19. Grant, welcome back. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having me back. I really appreciate it and looking forward to some more good conversation.
All right. Yeah, me too. Definitely. So last week we, really covered your first 2 deployments. And one was, kind of the back-to-back short notice first trip into Iraq. And it was really interesting sharing some of the same locations in time for us both, but we're, doing something totally different. And so some of the listeners had responded and said they liked hearing that kind of compare and contrast with, us almost being in the same place, same time, but just doing different things. So that was pretty cool. And, some of your insight was great for what to expect in boot camp for young Shane out there who's getting ready to head off to boot camp. So that was good. Yeah, definitely some listeners appreciate that insight for sure. Good. So today we're going to transition to your coming home. We talked about, what it was like coming home at the end of last week's show. You described it as being euphoric, and I agreed. It was, coming home and no one's trying to harm you, and little things just don't seem to matter and stress you out as much anymore because it's not, the end result of traffic not moving or your food being late is nothing. Yeah. It's like, you're going to be okay. So we kind of ended there. And so today I think, let's pick it up where, maybe you're heading off to leave, meaning you take leave, vacation. That's what we call it in the military. And, maybe talk about kind of what that process was like. How much leave did you get? Do you normally, get, what did you do during that time? Were you able to really totally disconnect from work and the Marines and stuff like that. So yeah, let us know.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to mention about that, the deployment that I had just gotten off of, we had stayed, since we were the first infantry battalion that was going to return stateside, we were we moved out of Baghdad into a different part of the country south of Baghdad, and just kind of staged in an area where there were several other Marine units around us, and we were kind of just getting ready to get back home. So we pulled security, but there was so much security around us, it wasn't as necessary. They even limited us on ammo that we had. So during that time we were there, the sniper platoon kind of held like not an NDOC, but kind of a, hey, anybody that's interested in taking the NDOC for the sniper platoon, come and learn some stuff, and we'll talk about it, and we'll put your name on a list for when we get back stateside. So get back.
Cool. What is an NDOC?
So indoctrination. It's basically selection. Yeah. Okay. We just, in the Marine Corps, sniper platoons and recon units, they call them NDOCs. But yeah, it's a selection process. So, okay. Yeah. So we get back home. I did all that and talked to the platoon commander, and I mean, I knew several guys in the sniper platoon, and we did some missions in Iraq on that deployment with them. So I was familiar with some of the guys there, and but talked to the platoon commander, and definitely made it known that I was very interested in that, because that was something I wanted to do. Of course, seeing that recon poster in the recruiter's office was one of the reasons that I wanted to do that. So, so we get back home, I go on leave, and I go to my dad's house. My parents are divorced, so they lived in two different parts of the country. But I think I took between 10 and 14 days of leave during that leave block, and that's pretty standard for post-deployment leave for Marines. But I'm at home at my dad's. I definitely was able to separate myself from, the deployment in the Marine Corps while I was on leave, so I was able to enjoy the leave. But about halfway through the leave, that period, that leave block that I was on, I got a call from a guy in my unit. Said, hey, and he was an NCO in the unit, so he had said, hey, if you're interested, the sniper platoon commander said there's a slot to go to the Scout Sniper Basic Course in Quantico, Virginia. If you want to go, you'll just be in the platoon. You won't have to do the NDOC. I guess he thought highly of me, because me and one other guy got this opportunity. The other guy took it, which is still, he's a good buddy of mine. He just retired from the Marine Corps. But he took the opportunity and went, and I didn't go, because I felt like I needed to do the NDOC, because I wanted to be, hey, I don't want to just be given the opportunity. I didn't want the handout. I wanted to do the NDOC and earn it. So I said, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to earn this. And I want to go to the Scout Sniper Basic Course at Camp Pendleton, because at that time there were 4 locations they were having the sniper school, the basic course. Camp Pendleton in California, Quantico, Virginia, Camp Lejeune there in North Carolina, and then we also had one in Hawaii, where the 3rd Marine Regiment is. But anyway, so I get back off of leave, and I started training for the sniper NDOC, because I knew that was coming up, and that was definitely what I wanted to do. So me and a couple guys from my unit started training together. We made the major mistake of training for the pool portion of the indoc, we actually trained in the ocean, which is a huge mistake if you're going to be operating in freshwater because the salt water is you're so much more buoyant in the salt water. And when you go from saltwater to freshwater, you pretty much sink. It's not good. So if you're you're training to swim, don't train in the ocean.
There you go. You heard it first right there. Future, no matter what you're training for, ultimately, whether it's in the military to do things in the freshwater, which we all have different jobs and stuff that you can do out there. You think go train in the ocean, it's tougher, it's hard, it's, you got the moving the currents. I would think that, but there you go. You heard it first. Don't do that. Go train in the environment that you're going to end up training in, because it matters. There you go. Would not have thought about that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's
interesting. And I think, that's really
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think it's, great perspective too on, two things. You were able to separate when you went on leave. That was great. So my first leave, I can, talk about how I was also able to kind of separate all of it. I was left alone, so to speak. The Army didn't bother me. Now, as years went by, as I got higher in rank, the Army loved to bother me all the time, as we would say. I never was able to get away from it, whether I was on leave or not. So, comes with the territory. So I think that was great for you that you're able to do that at that time. And then I think it definitely talks about your character. And, you didn't want that handout. And so for me, when I think of Marines, like, that is one of the things that I really do think about too, is like, high character people and people that earn every single thing they get. Like, you don't get anything free in the Marines. That's just my perception, being in the Army. So it's great. Hearing you kind of confirm that, you just didn't want that. Like, because it probably brings you respect too, when you complete all of those things. And that's how you went through it. They're like, oh, okay, he went through all that to get here. So he's the man. So that's good. Great to share that stuff. And don't train in the ocean if you're going to be training in the pool.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So two things there. So that was exactly my rationale with the training in the ocean was, hey, there's going to be surf. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a lot harder than the pool, which is not true whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then, as far as Marines getting the worst gear, we always used to joke that we always got the hand-me-downs from the Army. All the stuff that they didn't want and they used and abused, they just sent it to the Marine Corps. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But
probably, there's probably some truth to that, which is why it's, a running joke. There's like half truth. Realistically, look, when we look at the Marine Corps, the size of y'all are very small.
Mm-hmm.
What you can accomplish and what you can do compared to the actual size of what y'all are is actually incredible. Very few people, I think, understand that. So with that comes a small budget.
Yeah.
So the poor Marines, honestly, it's, the Navy's sucking up all these billions for these ships and aircraft. And then we've got these guys that really spearhead us in a lot of areas in fighting. And then we give them the hand-me-downs and we're like cutting their budget all the time. They don't even have a budget to cut. Like, come on. So, all right, I'm done shooting this rifle in the Army. Here you go, fellow Marine. And you can have I'm done with it now. Like,
yeah.
What sense does that make,
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, so I was, like I said, training with a couple of buddies of mine. We would do these long distance runs, and where we'd run and then swim at the beach or just run and do calisthenics and stuff. And we'd take a truck because the base is right on the beach. There's a separate part of the beach there around San Clemente, California, that is just belongs to the base. Mm-hmm. And so we would drive a vehicle down to the beach, park it, and then drive back to where we stayed and run. There's a few dry creek beds on Camp Pendleton that wind through the base and end up on the beach. So we ran those dry creek beds to run in the deep sand and train for that. So, and it was several miles, probably with all the twists and turns, it was probably about 8 miles one way. So we would do that for training, and then so got to the NDOC portion, which was probably it was in the summertime of 2004, or no, excuse me, 2003, probably July-ish time frame. And I want to say probably 30 of us went to do the sniper platoon NDOC. And just to give everybody a reference, the infantry battalion there, we probably had an infantry battalion typically has 300 or 400 people in it, just depending on the number of support personnel and whether you're full or not full or different factors, but roughly 300 to 400 people. So about 30 of us went into the NDOC. The NDOC is a selection process. This one was about a week long. We did a lot of land navigation through Camp Pendleton, and if you're not familiar with Camp Pendleton, it's a lot of hills. There are some mountains on it, so it's very steep terrain that you have to navigate through. Land navigation is a little easier as far as using a map and compass when you have that type of terrain, because you have all the terrain features versus like a flat area like Camp Lejeune, which is just wooded and flat, and it's a little bit more difficult to navigate by map on something like that, just because you can't read the map as well with the terrain. It's a lot more nuanced, I guess. But we did that. We did a lot of hiking, pool PT, which that's what led me to figure out that training in the ocean is not good for training for freshwater swimming. So that really destroyed me. But it was a good experience. And then we ran some missions, some basically like infantry patrol missions where we got a patrol order from a higher up, a commander, and then we would have to go out and kind of write a hasty patrol order and go on a mission that was designed as a sniper mission or a surveillance mission or something like that, and accomplish that mission during that NDOC. And then so the NDOC ended with a typical sniper platoon interview, like you would go to a job interview, except the entire platoon is sitting there in front of you questioning you. So it's a little unnerving, but it's not bad because you want it so bad. So so I went through all that, and I want to say probably 8 or 10, probably 10 of us got picked up out of the NDOC. And I was thankfully one of them. So once we started hitting the ground running as far as training, because there were probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6 school trained snipers in the platoon at the time. So just for a reference for everyone, there's what's called a hog in the Marine Corps, refers to a sniper that's been to sniper school and graduated, and then a pig, which is a person in the sniper platoon that is not a school trained sniper, just trained by the other school trained snipers that are in the platoon. So we had about 6 hogs. I want to say 6, if I can remember right. And then 10 pigs coming in. to get trained by these guys to go to the next school. So they train us, and we compete for a spot to sniper school to go earn the title of Marine Scout Sniper. So based on their
Dude,
evaluation
that's
of us,
awesome.
yeah, it's really so another reference point on snipers. So snipers and Marine Recon, even though we're not technically attached to a special operations command, we do special operations. So it's more of a unit that has a little bit more relaxed grooming standards, a little bit more relaxed garrison standards, and more, hey, we're here to do this job, and we're going to do this job and be a cut above everybody else here, because that's just who we are. It has a very special operations feel to it, if you will, compared with like a regular infantry unit. So not a lot of I don't know how to word it in civilian terms, but it's more outside the box than a typical Marine Corps unit, if you will. So I know how I can reference it.
No, that's good. I mean, that
if you the movie Black Hawk Down, if the listeners or viewers have seen the movie Black Hawk Down, the scene in the beginning of the movie where the Ranger captain is talking to the Delta operators and in the chow hall line, and the Delta operator doesn't have his rifle on safe, which is definitely a Hollywood no-no thing that they did in that. But anyway, just the way that the Ranger unit and the Ranger guys did things is totally different from the Delta guys. And that's essentially where the line is. So the regular infantry battalion would be like the Ranger unit, and then the recon and sniper units would be like the Delta guys as far as the way we interacted and conducted business. Of course, now the Marine Corps has a special operations unit called Marine Raiders, Marine Corps Special Operations Command. So they have more, they're even more like that than we were allowed to be, because we were still under an infantry battalion chain of command. So
right, interesting. So couple questions. During the NDOC, you said it's about a week. Did y'all do any shooting, or was that any part of the process, or were they evaluating other aspects?
Yeah, so no shooting. It was just essentially a gut check to see who has the fortitude and the mentality to push through and be a high performer.
Okay, no, that's good. So, and I think, yeah, so that interview at the end is another part of kind of what you're saying is, now we've got to see if you've got what it takes. We've seen you get through all the physical stuff, but now let's kind of see where your mind is at. And yeah, so that's good for the listeners to know that it's not all about shooting. And, as some, Hollywood depicts, there's so much more to it. And I think one of the key words you said too was surveillance.
Yes.
Which I know you'll get into a little bit more, with what your job really, really is. But anyway, yeah, no, that's, I mean, great stuff. And that relationship description was perfect. From my experience being regular Army to, working with Navy SEALs, to working with regular SF guys in the Army, to MARSOF guys in the Marines. Yeah, it is just it's different, it's interesting, that relationship. So, but you said it right. Like, look, y'all are professionals that you're just going to get your job done. I mean, if your hair's a little bit longer and your mustache is a little bit, it just doesn't matter. It's you're going to get the job done and the mission accomplished, period. And then we go home and, so But anyway, yeah, so that's good stuff. So cool.
Yeah. So sniper school. I well, let me back up. We trained from summertime, and then we knew the upcoming school date was in October for that next school date for the Scout Sniper Basic course in Camp Pendleton. And our battalion commander, I was extremely fortunate because our battalion commander was a prior enlisted recon Marine. So he knew the value of snipers. So he was able to he knew we were going on the Fallujah deployment, and he knew what we were going to be going up against ahead of time. And he had the foresight to get an outstanding platoon sergeant who was the staff NCO in charge of sniper school at the time. He gave us essentially an unlimited budget for gear, and he was able to secure us many school slots for sniper school prior to that deployment. So with that being said, I was able to earn a slot to that first go at sniper school within our sniper platoon. Me and two other guys went to that school, to that course, that specific course, in October of 2003. So we get there. As soon as you get to sniper school, you run a Marine Corps physical fitness test, and you do a day land navigation course and a night land navigation course. And if you don't pass any of those phases, then you go home without even starting school. So I made it, did all that. Land nav is one of my favorite things to do. Even now, I love looking at maps. But so that was fairly easy. But we started with 3. You get assigned a partner in sniper school, so you have a spotter and a shooter, but you switch roles in school, of course. But you get paired up with another student that's from another unit. So I was paired up with another guy from a Camp Pendleton sniper platoon that was in a different infantry battalion. And I want to say we started with probably 35 to 40 people in that class. And we didn't graduate nearly that many. Sniper school has,
Wow.
Yeah, it's got a reputation for, it's definitely has the highest attrition rate of any school in the Marine Corps. So yeah, they've been trying to change that for quite a while, and the rumor is they may do away with it completely, and just have recon Marines get attached out to infantry battalions as the snipers. They actually just ran the very first recon sniper course. Just graduated with 10 guys this past week, I think. So, but yeah. Started that in October of 2003. And you're going to have to ask me some leading questions so I can expand on some things. So go ahead and ask me some things so I can be a little bit more detailed, because there's so much I could talk about and we don't have that much time.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, it's okay. And really, hey, we have plenty of time. Meaning, we'll stop at whatever time we need to stop today. And shoot, if we have more than 4 episodes, we have more than 4 episodes. Because this stuff is, I mean, this is exactly why I'm doing my show. Like, I say sharing my experiences, because this is the stuff people don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is so cool. I mean, for me, hearing what it's like, doing this stuff. So yeah, no worries about time. Hey, okay. So, you're heading into, so now how long is this sniper course?
So it's when I went through, and I believe it's still the same, 13 weeks.
13 weeks. Okay, so you're there, you're getting ready to start, you do the PT test and the land navigation. And it's interesting you talk about the land navigation being one of your favorite things. Look, I'll tell you from my experience recently, and I think it's a lost art.
Mm-hmm.
I know we teach it in the Army a little bit, but because of all of our digital stuff, we don't focus on it as much anymore. Now, I'm aviation. I get it. The ground guys may be a lot better, but even they're using GPS watches and daggers. We call them daggers. I don't even know what it stands for, but it's a Army issued electronic device that helps you navigate, right? But you're exactly right. There is nothing like the map, and especially with the hilly terrain, so that you can say, okay, I'm on top of this hill, or I can see that hill, so I know where I am. It's really is critical physical conditions of the PT test, and knowing that you can march and you can travel miles at a time in tough terrain. And so now you're going to get into, you know, moving through this terrain with somebody that you don't know, and you got to develop this relationship, this trusting relationship with. So 13 weeks. Are there any, so talking about that, so kind of in the beginning, is that something that they focus on, developing that relationship with your spotter shooter?
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
does that come naturally between y'all?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit of both, because we knew, so all, at least when I was going through, different, even branches of service would send their personnel to Marine Corps sniper school. We had the class before mine had 2 Navy SEALs in it. Recon Marines go to it. Army SF guys go to it. But now there's so many sniper schools out there, and each branch has their own flavor of how they want to train their guys. That's a lot less prevalent. But so to an infantry battalion Marine that's in a sniper platoon and an infantry battalion, this is their school. This is their job school. So what I mean by that is if there's a recon Marine or a Navy SEAL or an Army SF guy that's going through it, that's just a secondary thing for them. So they don't necessarily, and I don't want to say that those guys don't take it seriously, but the infantry battalion, the sniper platoon guys take it to another level as far as seriousness, because if they fail that course and go back to their platoon, they're never going to get a shot again at becoming a Marine sniper. Never. So
Right.
that's a very, very serious, they take it very seriously. Not to take anything away from those other guys, but the sniper platoon guys take it serious. So I had another sniper platoon guy from another battalion was my partner. So we knew from the beginning that this is it. This is our shot, and we're going to make it through, no questions asked. So we knew the gravity of the school for us, what it was. Now, as far as them instilling that as instructors to you, yes. You are always together. You're never apart. If you're apart, if you leave something not in its place when you leave the schoolhouse or the field, or something's out of whack, you get thrashed, right? So you've got to do some extra PT. There's very serious consequences for not being one unit as sniper and spotter. So the big thing with that is that you don't want to leave what's called a target indicator, meaning that if you and your spotter, or you and your partner, go out into a position out in enemy territory, and once you leave that position after the mission's complete, if there's any sign that you were there, that's called a target indicator. And you don't want the enemy to know that you were there. So you never want to leave a trace that you were there, whether it's, some MRE piece of trash or just anything that's out of place from that position. You don't want to let the enemy know that you were there. So if there's a target indicator left by you and your partner, that was a serious consequence in school. So they really do make sure that they ingrain that into you. So as far as school goes, you do essentially three things. So shooting is obviously huge. Stalking is another thing that's huge, which is my favorite thing to do. And then just general field craft, surveillance, camouflage, just the craft of being a sniper, range estimation, those types of things, land navigation. So that's essentially the top three things you do. So you spend the vast majority of your time either on the range, on the stalk lane, or in the classroom learning field craft. So, and then there's a lot of homework as well, as far as writing patrol orders and doing terrain models and that sort of thing. So, that was actually one of my fondest memories in sniper school is building me and my partner. And then another guy from my platoon was partnered with a guy from the same battalion as my partner. So we got together on the weekends and we would build terrain models for these patrol orders that we would have to write. And so we would get down into this dry creek bed right next to the schoolhouse and use that sand to build up the terrain model. And actually just recently we listened to this CD by the White Stripes. And that was what always jogs my memory of that is hearing a song from that album. And my partner that was in sniper school actually, I told him that not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and he said, "Yeah, that CD was stuck in so and so CD player. That's why we listen to it every time." I was like, "Oh, I thought it was just because that was what y'all like to listen to." so
That's funny. So okay, so yeah, definitely. You talked about, I mean, the three most important things that they're teaching throughout this course, and then developing that trust with each other. So you mentioned the weekends. So were your weekends off during the school, and you were taking your off time to develop these sand tables and stuff, or
yeah. So
or were you required to work on the weekends?
no. So school would be Monday through Friday, most weeks, and it was like 6 or 7 a.m. to evening time. It just depended on what type of training we were doing for that day. Weekends were generally off, but with homework. So either those terrain models or patrol orders. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I think it's good to mention that because to really be good at your craft, and you've mentioned, I mean, you want this so bad because you want to be a really good sniper, and I'm going to get into why you really want to be a good sniper. I'm going to ask you that in a minute, because of the impacts of your mission. But it's anytime you're going to really almost do anything in your life, if the impacts of it is really big, you want to be the best. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to just squeak by with minimums, so you want to put in that extra effort to become the best at it. And I think that's really what you're doing here on the weekends with that homework. And when they're doing that interview process, they're trying to look for that, and they obviously picked the right person, for you, and as in you and some of your teammates, because they want somebody that's going to a professional really dedicates so much extra time to their craft. Anybody can do it from 9 to 5, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But it's those ones that want to be really, really good. So I think that's a good thing to point out, is taking that extra time to just be that much better. So, you know, uh, well, two things. The next question, really, I want to ask first is, um, do they are you being trained to operate as a team out on your own, alone and unafraid? Or are you being trained with that, your partner to be kind of attached to somebody that might be within, I don't even know, 100 meters, 1,000 meters? How does that, how does that work? Like, what kind of missions will you be sent on? Are they teaching you that stuff in this course?
Yeah, a bit of both. So they they break it down to the very basic level of Marine Scout Sniper operations in the course. So you're trained to go out. You're trained to be able to expected to go out as shooter and spotter on a mission by yourself, supporting some type of unit, infantry unit. Now, in reality, you're typically in. We operated in 4-man sniper teams in my platoon. Some platoons did it differently and just did 2-man teams. That's pretty rare, especially in an urban environment like we were in mostly. We did go out on our own as 4-man teams most of the time, away from the patrol base, but a lot of times we did also operate with an infantry squad somewhere nearby, or some other supporting unit, another team maybe, that wasn't too far away from us, and we would work in an area of operation and cover certain zones or fields of fire, basically.
Okay. Yeah. And that makes sense. Because you think, people are familiar with the movie Lone Survivor, and that SEAL team went out as a small team of 4. Literally out on their own, doing their thing, and in previous history, people may know, and maybe they don't know that snipers have tended to work autonomously, independent of even, I don't want to call it a safe zone, but like behind the line, or so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, it's interesting to see that they're preparing you for both. Go be alone and unafraid with your team, your small team, but also you could be kind of attached and providing that overarching support that we talk about. So
yeah,
that's interesting to hear too. So, so really, kind of that first so you're talking about earlier. So 13 weeks, and only 10 of those 30 completed that about.
No, so that was the recon sniper course. That's a different one where the 10 just graduated.
Oh, okay.
That's different. I believe they run that differently. Okay. That's more of what when I was in was more of the advanced course, where it's what we called a gentleman's course, where there's no pressure of, hey, you're about to go get thrashed. You're going to, be handed some physical pain for a little while. That's more of, hey, we're here to learn and experiment and teach you without that pressure, because you tend to learn a little bit better without that pressure. Now, there are obviously certain times where that pressure helps learning, but for that particular course, it's more of a gentleman's course, from my understanding. I don't know exactly, but Scout Sniper Basic course is not a gentleman's course at all. So,
right. Okay. So, so after that 13 weeks, and you graduate, and you go back to your unit, and you're now a hog. Are you a hog at that point?
Yes. So
you grew up from a pig to a hog?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually just looked at my school, or my class photo. So we graduated 14 people from my class, and we started with between 30 and 40. And I was the only one from my platoon that graduated. Wow. The other 2 guys did not make it. A couple of cool things about my class. I had the privilege and honor of later finding out that several of the guys that were in my class became like serious war fighters that did some heroic things in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I definitely had the privilege of going through class with those guys, and some are still in and do stuff that only higher level people in the government know about. But um, that,
Right.
yeah,
That's
so
cool.
yeah, very cool to be able to serve with those guys. But also, there's 3 awards given out in sniper school. There's an instructor's choice award, an honor graduate, and a high shooter award. And my particular class, me and 2 other guys from 1st Marine Regiment, which encompasses 4 Marine Corps infantry battalions, we swept the awards. So no recon Marines or any other outside branches took those awards. So the 1st Marine Regiment took all the awards, which was kind of a proud moment for us because we had force recon guys and battalion recon guys in our class. And typically there's at least one recon guy that gets one of the awards, but we swept the awards that class. So we were proud of that. So yeah, we graduated in December.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really, it was quite a bragging moment for us.
Yeah, I just want to break in for a second, but really, and to share that to emphasize that with the listeners that, so what Grant is saying is that these, and I don't want to say regular Marines, but these regular infantry Marines basically stole the awards for being great at what they do from special forces type other Marines and trained Marines that were specialized in some of these areas. So it really is a big deal. And when units do that and when people do that, they definitely get a lot of recognition, but it's earned recognition. It's not deserved. It's earned recognition, which is it really is incredible when that stuff does happen. So it's a big deal. And thanks for sharing that. And I just definitely just wanted the people to know that it really is a big deal when the regular Army or regular Marine soldiers, outperform those specialized people. So it's a big deal, man. Good job on that, and that's really exciting. Kind of looking at where you're going with this, and so you get back to your unit and you're a hog. And so now, kind of, where are we at in timeline? Are we? I think you started in October. We're probably in spring sometime of 04,
Well, so
something like that. And kind of where, is there another school? Is there?
yeah, so we graduated in I want to say mid-December of 03. And then so
Okay.
I was right on time to graduate, have a few days at my unit, get my team because the other team leaders, I got to have a team. So I became a team leader at that point when I graduated school because we had, like I said, our battalion commander gave us anything we wanted. And we had 6 4-man teams with all 6 team leaders were school trained snipers. And when I got back to the unit, the other team leaders they basically had a draft pick for who they wanted in their teams. So I wasn't at the draft. So it's not like I got the leftovers, but I got guys that I had known already. So I got my team, and then I was able to go on Christmas leave right after sniper school. Went on Christmas leave, came back, and then we started training pretty heavy because we knew we were going to deploy to Iraq, to Fallujah in June of that year of 04. So we started training with our guys. We did a lot of stalking, a lot of patrols, a lot of surveillance. We got to do some very cool shooting. So, oh man, there's so much to break down as far as what we do and what I was able to do. I can't emphasize this enough how much how fortunate I was to be a part of that battalion because of who our battalion commander was. and what he knew we were capable of. So um, each sniper has a rifle, and you, especially through school, you keep a data book on that rifle. So you log every single round that you shoot out of it. And we used 308s at the time. Of course, there's been huge advances in technology since I got out, but I probably logged over 10,000 rounds of 308 in probably October to June, 3 plus 6 months, 9 months, 10,000 rounds of 308. So that's bolt action. That's not like automatic, semi-auto. That's not like wasting ammo. That's like shots placed on target ammo. So I was very fortunate in being able to do that through 2 schools. I haven't covered that yet, but the advanced course plus the ammo that we got to train with back at the battalion, we got to shoot a lot of ammo. A lot. It's really, at that time period, it was unheard of, the amount of ammo that I got to shoot. So I was very fortunate.
That's awesome. The only experience I have is in Army aviation. We only shoot the minimum to qualify, which was once a year, and then now it's twice a year. But that's great to hear that you got a chance to train like that. Because we've mentioned Fallujah several times. I mean, you've got something extremely challenging, and I don't know that. I mean, that even to y'all at that point, even though your battalion commander, knows kind of what's coming. If anybody ever really expected the fight that we all got in Fallujah at that point, so thankfully y'all did get that opportunity to train like that. So I think really, I think what we're going to end up doing here is we may end up adding another episode and not. Getting through 4, which is totally fine, because I think some of these things here, because we really haven't kind of got into the advanced course. And I don't want to cut this off too short, meaning I want people to hear all this. And, we're almost at an hour, which is fine. But I think we can kind of maybe wrap it up from here. And then then the next episode, we'll kind of share that advanced course and some more of those preparations and then kind of get into like what you're expecting is what are you training for as far as stalking and, reconnaissance, because and be able to share with the people like what your primary missions really are. When we talk about reconnaissance and gathering intelligence, some of what you all do without shooting is sometimes way more important than when you do shoot. So
absolutely.
But the ultimately, so I think sharing those details, I think people need to know that. And I want them to hear that in more detail, and I don't want us to be rushed through that at all. So, okay, a couple things before we tie it up, though. And I wanted to ask about, so you're a team leader, and did this school help you with promotion or anything like that in your early Marine career?
So I promoted pretty much very fast, unusually fast through promotional boards when I was a junior Marine. So when I got to sniper school, I was already an E5. I was a sergeant when I got to sniper school, that basic course. Yeah. Okay. So that's as high as I got because I didn't re-enlist. But would it have helped had I stayed in? Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And so I asked that really because, I want the listeners to know sometimes the good and bad parts of the military and our promotion systems, that sometimes you can go and get this training and do this job that's like super important, but we don't pay you anymore for it. like, because we only pay you based on rank and pay grade, which, and not to confuse anybody, most of the time they are the same, your rank and pay grade, but, and Marines typically, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but typically promote slow.
Yes.
They really want their people to gain that experience before they become a leader of young people. So, yeah, so you promoting fast, I mean, it did, show a lot about you and your character for sure. But yeah, so it's interesting, that because sometimes we do the same, obviously in the Army, we send you to these schools and stuff, but then you're still let's say a junior enlisted in E4 or a young sergeant as an E5 for us. And so you're only getting paid X number, but you're doing a job that's like, should be getting paid way up there. And I know some of our jobs with special forces and stuff will get paid bonuses, and they kind of work in those bonuses and extra pays sometimes, but not all the time. And so I wanted to share that with people that, you're doing this, and yes, you got promoted a little bit early, so you got a little bit extra pay, but not everybody does. So
yeah, for sure.
So well, no, I have a question, and I'm going to wait because I want to. Yeah, this question. I want to talk about it after your advanced school and when you get ready to head over to Fallujah, and because I think this is it's really a big. It's important for people to hear your answer to it. So I'm going to wait. The people are like, no, don't wait. Hey, it's okay. I want you to tune in. So, man, great episode. I didn't even feel like we were here for, as long as we have been. I just, I could listen to it. I could listen to it all day long. And again, I just appreciate you coming on and hanging out with me and sharing with all of our listeners. And it's great perspective, for not only just people that haven't served and don't know what it's like, but for those young people, and especially, young Shane, not going to call you little Shane out there, young Shane getting ready to head off to boot camp, to hear this stuff, so also I really liked, how you mentioned, that it was just such an honor and privilege to serve with those people that have gone on to really do some incredible things. And, so part of what I hope to do, and I haven't done it enough in my stories yet, is to also do the same, meaning I've served with some incredible people. I mean, that have just done some amazing things that it's just not in the news, and it's just not, people aren't going to know about it. But I want to be able to tell their stories, because it's just, the people that you and I have had the privilege of, fighting next to, sleeping next to, whatever, pulling tricks and pranks on our buddies next to, whatever. It's just a really amazing human beings, and the world just needs to know more about these people. So
yeah,
it's great. I'm having a great time, and so all right, well, cool. So we'll get together whenever we can. You and I will talk after this and set up a next recording session and see when we can get it done and get some more stories out to the people. So yeah, thanks, Grant, again for stopping by and hanging out and telling us your stories. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I enjoy this stuff. So,
all right, good deal. So, all right, hey everybody, thanks for tuning in for yet another episode of Miller's Military Moments. And I think I forgot to mention earlier, 26 and a wake up until I sign out of the Army and get to start my retirement for real. So yes, I'm excited about it. But thanks for tuning in and welcome me, Grant. Hey, if you have questions for Grant, you can send them through the comment section on my website. You can contact me through Facebook Messenger. So millersmilitarymoments.com. You can go to the website. There's a comment form on there. Send me the questions and stuff, and I'll get them over to Grant, or you can contact him, Grant, on Twitter. what is your Twitter handle, Grant?
At Project Capable.
At Project Capable. And again, I'm so excited. I can't even wait for him to tell you all about that. But that's coming. So at Project Capable, you can send him DMs there. And here, I'm volunteering his DMs are open, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, hey, send him questions. Send him questions. And, what is it that you want to know about his experiences and stuff? I mean, him and I can talk about this stuff forever because, it's so interesting to us. So, but there may be some things that we're missing that you want to know. So, feel free to contact either one of us and get those messages, and then we'll get them answered, on the show, and he can tell you a little bit more about it. So, but yeah, so thanks again, millersmilitaryMoments.com. Check me out on there, and with the YouTube channel, the podcast episodes, and you can listen to them on there, or on the YouTube you can watch them. There's links and all that stuff on there. The show notes with pictures and links, and so everything that we've talked about today will be in the description or the show notes, and then of course my bi-weekly newsletter next week. So again, hey, reach out to those people that may need some help. Check on them. And if you need that help, hey, reach out to your close 3 to 5 people and get that assistance that you need. So we're all here to make our world a better place. At least I hope we are. And so take care of yourself, take care of each other. And I'm just having a great time doing this, and I appreciate you all. And I can't wait till the next episode. All right. See you guys. Peace.